Shadow of the Colossus is one of the most iconic video games of all time, and now it's being remade for the PlayStation 4. Even with its status as one of the best games ever, it released back in 2006, over a decade ago. So some of you are probably unaware of what the game truly entails. In this video, we're gonna go over 8 big reasons why you should be excited for the Shadow of the Colossus remake on PlayStation 4. Let's get right into this. Number 1. So what is Shadow of the Colossus? It's an action-adventure game developed by Sony Japan Studio and Team Ico. Namely, Team Ico was famous for their work on, obviously, Ico. Shadow of the Colossus is seen as a spiritual successor to Ico, but it's a far different kind of experience. The game's storyline itself focuses on a young man named the Wanderer who enters a forbidden land. The Wanderer must travel across a vast expanse on horseback and defeat 16 massive beings known simply as the Colossi. The Colossi battles are what make this game. They're extraordinarily huge, and given the fact that this game was released on the PlayStation 2, for the time it was absolutely groundbreaking, and the main character fights the Colossi in order to restore the life of a girl named Mono. There's no towns or dungeons, no characters to interact with, and no other enemies to defeat outside of the Colossi. And the Colossi themselves aren't just generic boss battles, they've got a little bit of puzzle elements to them as well, and how you beat them is a big part of the game. Number 2, so let's talk about the critical acclaim of Shadow of the Colossus because it's one of the best reviewed games ever. It's also one of the most influential video games of all time and considered one of the greatest games of all time. A lot of the times it's hard to sell video games as a form of art. That's always been a big debate among gamers, but Shadow of the Colossus is often regarded as an important example of video game as an art form because of its immersion and emotional journey. It was received with wide critical acclaim and has an average Metacritic score of 91. IGN dubbed the game as an amazing experience and an absolute must-have title, rating it a 9.7 out of 10. GameSpot was less enamored with the game, giving it an 8.7, commenting that the game's aesthetic presentation is unparalleled by any standard. A big complaint was the fact that the frame rate did struggle a little bit. Given the fact this game was released on the PlayStation 2 and the sheer scope of the game, you can forgive that a little bit. And guess what? Now that it's being remade for the PlayStation 4, the shackles are gonna come off and hopefully the technical performance is much better. Other elements that were praised outside of the art style and immersion also was the soundtrack. The soundtrack adds so much to the game and it intensified the mood of every situation. Moving on to number 3, now let's talk about this new Shadow of the Colossus remake. Sony already announced that the Shadow of the Colossus remake will run at 30 FPS on a standard PS4 and at 4K and 30 FPS on the PlayStation 4 Pro. However, according to a document uploaded to Sony's press site for Paris Games Week, PS4 Pro owners will also have the option to play Shadow of the Colossus at 1080p and 60 FPS. That is extremely exciting. As I said, with the game being released on the PlayStation 4, now the shackles are truly coming off, and being able to play the game at a smoother frame rate and better visuals is gonna be a dream. Number 4, one of the other minor complaints about Shadow of the Colossus was the control scheme. On the PlayStation 4, the game will feature 2 different control schemes. In the remake, players will be able to play with a new, more modern control setup, or you can play the game just like it used to be. Shuhei Yoshida stated this at E3 2017. Quote, "It's the same, but player preferences for controls and such change over time, so we're working on implementing a more modernized way to play." Yoshida continued stating, "And of course, you can play with the feel of the original version, but what we're doing is showing how great the original work is using today's technology." Number 5. With the initial reveal of Shadow of the Colossus on PlayStation 4, many were wondering if it was going to be a full-on remake or a remaster. If it was just an HD remastering, that would have been very disappointing because we got the Team Eco collection on the PlayStation 3. But since then, the game has been confirmed to be a full remake of the game with all the original content in place. Yoshida said this, quote, "It is a remake, the game content is the same as the original version, but all the assets are being remade. I figured we should use such tech to make if we're going to make Shadow of the Colossus in the PlayStation 4 era." Number 6, so who is behind the Shadow of the Colossus PS4 remake? It's being developed by Sony's Japan studio and Bluepoint Games. Bluepoint Games may be the unsung heroes of the gaming industry. They've worked on several great HD remastering collections. They're behind the excellent Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, Gravity Rush Remastered, and the PlayStation 3 remastered versions of Eco and Shadow of the Colossus. So pairing Bluepoint Games up with Sony's Japan studio is definitely a great idea, and hopefully that lends to some great results with Shadow of the Colossus on PlayStation 4. Number 7, now Shadow of the Colossus is a great game, and Sony could have easily gotten away with charging $60 for the game. I mean, given the fact you've had other games such as the Bulletstorm remaster releasing at $50, the ceiling of pricing a remaster or a remake has definitely gone up, and they could have charged gamers a full $60. However, the remake will be priced at just $40, and that's great. And again, this isn't just a remaster, it is a remake, so they had more reason to price it higher than they did, so $40 is a great price. I will definitely take that. And finally, number 8, unlike a lot of PlayStation games that Sony tends to announce and then we have to wait years upon years to play, Shadow of the Colossus' release isn't that far away. The game will be releasing on February 6, 2018 for the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro, so don't worry about having to wait until late 2018, early 2019. If you're picking up a PlayStation 4 for the holidays, Shadow of the Colossus will be ready to go in early 2018, February 6 to be exact. So that wraps up 8 big reasons why you should be excited for the Shadow of the Colossus remake on PlayStation 4. What do you think? Have you played Shadow of the Colossus back on the PS2? Did you pick up the remaster on PlayStation 3? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.